All right, we are recording to the cloud.
All right, welcome to the Hideaway Hills Management Committee meeting as of February 23rd, 2021. I've been doing this since 15. Good Lord. All right, we have an invited guest, Mary Beth Fisher, board member, but we're going to table her down to the discussion on the Borough Hill Gate, which I assume will be much exciting based on the Facebook traffic. Jeff, you want to go through our delinquency numbers?
Certainly. As reported at the board meeting, delinquency as of January 15th of this year was 31,361. As of February 15th is 23,386. Of that 23 grand, 6,638 is just with the 30 to 60 day range, which we don't really consider delinquent. And that is primary assessments, road delinquencies as of January 15th of this year, 3,160, and as of February 15th, 2,210. We have had one foreclosure that has fallen off of delinquencies and that we will now begin getting assessments on. In fact, just got a phone call on that today.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Capital fund, depreciation, dam allocations.
Okay. Both capital and depreciation have gone up a bit since our last meeting. Capital fund, as of this morning, at 297,270, and depreciation fund, as of this morning, at 293,201. Dam account, as of this morning, 132,337, and creeping up slowly as there are relatively few payments left to be made.
Hey, Jeff, on the capital fund and depreciation fund and that stuff, would it be possible, instead of just giving raw numbers, to give a graph, maybe a bar chart or something, so that we can kind of see the trending on that? I think from the delinquencies and things like that, it's pretty easy to see because we give previous and this month things, so you kind of get a feel for it. But the other stuff, if we could at least see, where the trend is. A raw number doesn't really mean a whole lot sometimes.
Okay.
So.
Sure. A graph. We'll see. I'll give you the previous couple months numbers. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, even if you just gave us like that current year, right?
Okay.
Just to kind of see which way it's going.
Sure.
Fair enough. I will tell you the depreciation fund will probably start ticking down as we make a few purchases. As we're talked about, we haven't paid for the fairway mower yet, and we're shopping actively for a zero turn, and we'll probably start looking for some type of UTV here soon to replace the mini truck. So
I'm a visual guy though, Jim.
I know. You engineer types.
Yeah, pictures. We like pictures.
Ooh, pictures.
I'm gonna send Marty the numbers. He's gonna put together a graph.
There you go.
All right. We don't have any news and notes to note, unless you got something to add, Jeff.
No.
Reserve fund accounts. We do that at the second meeting of the month. So let's get through that. Let's go right on to request for expenditures.
Isn't this the second meeting of the month?
This is the second meeting.
Oh, it is the second meeting. Jeez, I thought of that earlier. Okay, let's go through that.
Okay,
I'm trying to hurry him along. I'm in March already.
We kind of put the cart before the horse here, so it's gonna take a minute longer than usual. The number that I got was as of this morning, and then since then Penny took several checks to the bank that would reduce that number. So as of this morning, we were in the red by 128,449. And as of the time she makes these deposits, we'll be down to 91,749 in the red. Payments made today include to capital fund 15,429, and that's December's payment. Transfer fee $250. Depreciation fund $16,700. Employee insurance, $25,000, as we had a couple of surgeries that subtracted from the amount we keep in there. And then roads, $2,090.08.
Okay. That's great. I mean, that number had gotten up to 260 at one point. So, I mean, that's huge progress to get that down and keep paying the damn payment off. So it's a testament to getting our budget under control. Any questions? All right. Request for expenditures.
All right, so golf course chemicals. It is that time. We've had much conversation about this. Got a vendor involved, and their pricing actually got us a pretty phenomenal deal. So our choices were from Target, and I don't mean Target the department store. Target, a company that sells golf turf chemicals. $15,296. From Helena, and this was with a vendor pricing, $13,877 total. And then what we end up needing to do is actually blend two companies for the best price. Nutrien, which would give us everything that we requested, and that the other two companies would provide, except for something called Profile Greens. That's a July or August application. For $9,540. So that's the specific request from Nutrien is $9,540. And then Profile Greens from Target at $1,523 for a grand total of $11,063. Better than $2,000 less than either of the other two bids.
Very good.
Steve, those Profile Greens aren't available at Nutrien.
Well, I explained to Jeff, yet they are. I mean, we manufacture, we have the patents on polymer coated urea products for greens and things, so it doesn't release all at once. The issue is I don't exactly know what the MPK is, and I think down the road, I think they'll be able to bid that out through a local market. Pick out of our location up at Thurston, probably put that into portable carts and just deliver it down here. But wanting to get this business out of the way this year, and with the price structure the way it is, Jeff, we would just run this way and then look at it this summer. This additional sampling and some other things.
And I will say again, the Profile Greens we don't need right away. The rest of the chemicals we do, we need to start applying in March. So hence the request for the 9540.
Did Elmer remember the product? It just left my mind. We had a product come up for our nutgrass issue, which is a pre-emergence, which will be one of the first ones they put on. I guess maybe check with Elmer and make sure we did get a price bid on that too.
Okay.
I don't remember what the name of it was. We just talked about it here before Christmas, I think, but.
Okay, I'll do that.
Also, just real quick, Steve, I remember back in late summer, we were looking at treating with something at one of the lakes, and that had to be done in the spring, not the fall. Is that, do you remember that conversation? There was a product we.
So, yeah, well, so if you
we had to treat in the spring.
Yeah, that's just basically a pond treatment.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Okay, so what he's talking about is the pond treatment, which is a dye, and this needs to be put into play to reduce the sunlight, which then reduces the growth of the algae and the other plants there. It doesn't take care of all of them, but that's going to be a pretty good expense if we put it down there. And I guess once we get to that point too, we need to talk with the Lakes Commission too, because I think we want to get a better aeration system there, possibly something like we have at the pond up behind the golf maintenance building. I think if we, especially for aesthetics, if we put the blue dye in that and then drop one of those nice fountains in there, it'll be a nice drop back as people come through the gate, and also help us with our algae problem. So
Okay. I didn't mean to
Okay.
hijack. I just
Just
for that, and I didn't want to lose the opportunity to buy it. So.
no, it's readily available, and that
Okay.
price structure we can carry on through. So good point, though.
All right.
All right.
And
Do we
then,
want to go ahead
Jeff-
and approve the
Yes.
11063 for the Nutrien and the Profile Greens from Target combined?
I move that we approve.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
A second.
Well, we got Rex and JJ here, so
Rex could have it.
doesn't really matter.
paid.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm
All right.
abstaining.
You're abstaining. Gotcha.
Jeff,
Which is
what was
probably,
the-
probably a
what
good.
the
Potential conflict of interest.
What was the question?
From going out on what do you expect the savings was from going out on the open market? Roughly.
Well, through Avendra, the company that we bought from the past couple of years, from what I understand, at least the last couple of years, has been Target. So we were paying that pricing. That was the most expensive of the three. We were about $4,000 off of what they had quoted. Actually, about $4,600 off of what they had quoted, and what was about $2,500 off of $2,600 off of what Helena had quoted.
Okay. Very good.
So yeah, you figure at worst we saved about $2,500.
Well, that's not worse. That's best.
And
Kind of money I like to
so
save.
is we're spending the money now when we need the product. In the past, we've prepaid that stuff in November, December timeframes.
Yeah.
So we've lost having that money in our bank accounts too.
All right. All right. How about Jeff? We put on the next agenda. We talk about Deerfoot Lake chemicals.
Okay.
Chemicals in the aerator. That lake has traditionally been our. I don't, you weren't here until October. That it was probably clearing up. That lake gets super bad algae in the summer. It's shallower. Doesn't have a lot of water movement, and so it tends to algae up really bad. And so last year Steve did put some chemicals in it, but it really had gotten ahead of us too far. So goal would be to get a little bit ahead of it this year and try to tackle it so it doesn't turn into a algae pond.
Okay.
And a lot what was growing in there, duck's foot or goose foot, duck's foot can be spread by waterfowl. So if they would start the geese down there and they could actually transport that on their bodies, fly into the big lake, and we could end up with, in the shallower coves and things, start with a problem over there. So we definitely want to get it in check because this stuff easily moves from lake to lake and
Okay.
causes problems. Not in the big portion of the lake, but it could really throw some messy situations into our coves over there. So
Okay.
this year, it was a great catch for Rex to remember that because you're right. And again, it's going to be time as soon as the ice leaves and the water starts warming a little bit. Hopefully that's tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Let's move along. Jeff, you want to talk about the copier, printer, scanner discussion?
Certainly. Okay, so what we ended up doing was putting more pressure on Modern Office Methods, for the fact that our current copier that is 3.5 years old, not even quite 3.5 years old, or 3.5 years old to us, would not accommodate Windows 10. So they did some scrambling, went back to the manufacturer, got the service manager himself out, and we're able to update the firmware to get us working on Windows 10. So we're good for the next, I think it's 16 months that we have left on that lease. Well, in the meantime, we started getting pricing through Avendra. Shame on me for not doing that to begin with. And once we wrap this lease up, and my suggestion would be that we go ahead and just follow through to the end of it, unless we start having major problems with this copier, which will then really be on Mom to do something to accommodate us. But then open it up again to Avendra, and Avendra is talking, if you don't put any type of copy minimum on the lease, which they tend to roll in together, and drive the price higher, because you never know how much you're paying for the machine versus how much you're paying for the for the copies. They were looking at a brand new Xerox machine, which well, never mind, I won't get into brands, for $155 a month plus tax for the lease for 5 years. So much less than what we're paying right now. And then you'd actually pay the price per copy, but that would include your toner and repairs for the 5 years.
Gotcha.
We
So when
can
is
save a whole bunch of money once this whole lease wraps up. I think we got ourselves in deep probably quite some time ago by doing the same thing that we were looking at this time, which was rolling an upside down lease into a new lease before it was over with, and ended up paying off more than one machine at a time.
Well,
Yeah.
good job of finding a solution on that, Jeff, and getting a good path forward. You know,
Thanks.
that's good. You know, we're in a good spot now.
Well, thanks you guys for challenging me on it again. Shame on me that I didn't even think of a vendor when it came to copier leases. We were so intent on making it happen through Mom because we had the machine through them that we had 16 or 17 months left on. But now we know there are better ways. So.
Gotcha.
Good job.
Just want to make sure in the current lease, Jeff, we look at when the notice period is, so that you can put it on the agenda, officially cancel that lease, and then that way you can start shopping for a new program. Some of them have, you got to give them notice 30 days out or whatever. It may just run out too. I don't know.
No, it's a typical evergreen.
Gotcha. Yeah. They'll let you keep paying. They'll let you keep paying that price for years.
Oh, of course, and have an older machine. No, I've already got it loaded on my calendar to send them a letter. I think I've got it loaded for the day before we can actually do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Great job.
Nope.
And the favorite topic of the night: Bora Hill Gate closure and risk during major winter weather events. So let me just say this, because this is already, I've seen it blowing up on Facebook, and I already got 3 comments ready. But you know, we're not trying to close the Bora Hill Gate permanently. We're not trying to close the Bora Hill Gate for other than a very small window of super bad weather, which hopefully we're past. A little history: in the last 5 years I've been doing this, I think we've replaced the gate, probably had the gate hit at least 5 times. We went to an aluminum gate so that maintenance could change it easier, but it also bends easier. What typically happens is somebody slides into the gate because they come down the hill too fast, thus bending the gate won't open, or it opens partially and it won't shut, and then it's just sort of kind of stuck half open or stuck shut or stuck open is what usually happens until maintenance can get out there and address it. And if that's a weekend, that could be, you know, we got to call people in to try to fix that. So what we decided a few years ago is we would open the gate for no longer than it took security and maintenance to get up there and try to salt in front of the gate enough that we got some traction with salt and grit that people would not slide into the gate, and then the gate would be back to normal operation. It's kind of come up again because the gate did get hit by a township plow truck and destroyed. Hopefully they're going to pay for that, but so we're going to discuss it again. And I know Mary Beth would like to share her opinion, and then Jeff, I'm sure I'd like to hear everyone's opinion on this. So Mary Beth, being an invited guest, you get to go first.
Thank you. Okay, so first, full disclosure, this is the gate my family uses, Bora Hill. So this is the most convenient gate for my family, and the one that we use to access our property. Also, full disclosure, when the gate previously was left open during bad weather, my family was robbed. So I'm a little hypersensitive probably to this topic, but it raises concern for safety and security. And I think all of you guys are on the same page. You want to have our members be safe, and you want to have them be secure and feel secure. And we all know one topic everybody at Hideaway Hills agrees on is security. People want to know their feeling, their property and their person are secure. So back in, this happened when the gate was open and our family was robbed, was in, I think it was early 2017, because Jim, management at that time voted in the board minutes back in 2017 to leave it closed as a result of, it's probably me raising a stink, to be honest with you. And the part that seemed to me to be missing, and when I say closed, I don't think they meant close it, lock it, or it's still going to be accessible to people. But I think the part that was missing is sometimes that salting isn't enough. And the weather, like we've had recently, when the plow went straight through the gate, they had just salted, I think, an hour before and tried to prepare the roads for people to be safe. But once in a while, it gets worse than that. And the part that I think I had understood was they were going to leave it closed, but there seemed to be a missing link. Like we had no way of telling residents, don't use this gate right now because it's not safe for this short period of time when the weather's so bad. In my mind, I thought maybe on those rare occasions, we could put some kind of either rope up at the top of the hill with a sign, or something inside the gate, like don't try and go up here right now. We just had somebody this past week that couldn't make it up the hill. And so it takes resources, it takes our security to handle it. It takes our maintenance to go over and handle it. And it's very, spur of the moment. They got to drop what they're doing to go help whoever's over there. But those resources, and we've also had to use attorneys to try and collect money for people hitting the gate that should have paid us back. So it takes those resources as well. And the resources are minimal compared to, our members feeling safe and secure and nobody getting hurt. We can replace cars, we can replace the gate. It's a pain to do all that, and it's a pain to drive a few extra minutes, honestly. And when it gets too bad, I tell my family, you go to a different gate. They don't like it, takes more time, but they do it because it's safe. And that's, I think, what we need to really watch for is the safety of our members and their security. And I'll tell you, not saying the plow driver would do this, but if he comes down to plow, because he comes down to plow all the time in bad weather, they have to for Rush Creek. And he sees that's open every time in bad weather. I mean, what's to stop him from telling Joe, John, Sue, and all of his friends that gate's left open every time it snows? I don't like the thought of people having open access to our community if we can avoid that. And so it's not an easy fix, but I was hoping we could have some discussion to try and come up with what would work on those short-term temporary periods of time for safety and security of our members.
I have a question. How long does it take you to use either the Bremen Gate or the Enchanted Forest Gate?
Well, so if I come in the Bora Hill Gate where my house is, it takes me 4 minutes to get to my place. If I go through the front gate, the main gate, which would be my alternative that we'd use typically, it takes maybe 12 minutes. So
what about the Enchanted Forest Gate or the Bremen Gate?
We could use those, we just don't. So it would probably take about 10 minutes from Enchanted Forest. So look, it's less convenient. There's no doubt. It's less convenient. In bad weather, it's going to take a little longer than it would in normal weather. But it is there. I mean, there's a safety issue. And one thing, I can't remember if it was Steve or somebody that pointed out earlier, if someone's getting their mail there and another person's sliding through, I mean, we could have a very dangerous situation at that gate with the mailboxes there and someone sliding through. So I'm just concerned about that.
What about EMS and fire?
Well, if a plow truck's sliding through there, it's not a safe gate for them to come through either. The emergency vehicles, if a plow truck can't stop to get You know what I mean? There's
Well,
a concern there.
I think security would meet them there and have the gate open, but it is a risk with them coming down that hill in icy weather. So your thought would be we put a gate at the top of or a cones or something and a rope at the top of the hill and not let people come down at all?
I don't think we need to move. They had looked into previously moving that entire gate up to the top of the hill. The guy that lives
we
up at the
can't do
top
it.
of the hill doesn't want that.
No.
And they don't, so that's a problem. But I think if we could ask Rush Creek, if we could put a sign at the stop sign to warn our residents or members, hey, this is closed just short term for safety reasons. And then also, in addition to that, because if it's out at the stop sign, I don't know how familiar all of you are with that area, but if it's at the stop sign, they have alternative ways to go. They can go to the front gate then, or they can turn around right there and go a different way. But if you also then have cones or a rope, a sign, or orange tape or something, just saying it's too dangerous. And I'm not talking about for weeks. I'm talking about it might be a couple hours, just to make sure nobody gets hurt.
I think we need to be careful about doing any blocking off up at the top of the hill, because then what will happen is I would put money on Rush Creek will say, okay, well, we don't need to plow down here, and then the problem is just going to be prolonged. That is their road to plow at this point. You know, we go out and we treat it for the safety of our own members, but I don't know that we should be really plowing township roads, because if there's some kind of damage or anything else, guess who's going to be liable for it? Inconvenience wise, I will say I heard from one member right before I left the office that lives right over by there, and she said closing that would put her about a 30 to 40 minute increase on her drive to work.
I heard some people saying that, but I don't know how that would be possible, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure. So
I think some people are trying to, have had several emails already, and their thought is that you're putting them at risk because they're coming in. There's some considerable hills to get to their house if they come in one of the other gates. And I think that's one of the arguments we have to listen to. That some of the other hills do get pretty dicey. I mean, what we could talk about maybe is putting a sign up. If the township would let us put a sign up at the top on their stop sign, that we could go up there and flip down that said extremely icy, you know, something like that. Extremely icy, proceed with caution, or whatever, so people don't come flying down the hill and smoke into the gate. But I do want to hear from the management committee here.
I mean,
Marty.
Yeah, we've got a couple issues, right? One, actually, the safety and security are one issue, right? Where we want to maintain that. The other part is that we keep ending up having damage to the gate. So when we get inclement weather, I think your idea of a flip down sign or something at the top, just saying road closed, right? And we close it off. And then we can, when it's bad like that, we put up a barrier. So if somebody, if the city does come down there, or somebody else, then at least we have a physical barrier to prevent them from damaging that gate, right? And it gets closed for a little bit. It's not uncommon for roads to get closed, in bad weather. So yes, it's inconvenient, but I think that, making sure that we're, helping the safety of all of the residents, that kind of outweighs, at least in my mind, a little bit of inconvenience, right? That's part of, living in the different areas down here is that some of them are a pain in the butt to get to.
I'd hope that everybody would want to be thinking about safety first.
Right. And safety is the overruling value that we would go for, right?
I would like to go back to the squads for a minute. Usually squads that are coming in, at least from what I read with the incident reports, they're contacting the guard shack and letting the guard shack know that they're coming in, or the guard shack may be calling them to notify. If we were to close the gates for a period of time, or the gate, I'm sorry, for a period of time, the guard shack could notify EMS that the gate's closed, don't come that way, come another way. That could help address that one concern.
Well, this squad usually
would it end
comes
up
out of
delaying
Bremen.
response though?
I'm sorry, what?
Would it end up delaying response? And I don't know. I've not been outside of that gate much, so
It might,
okay.
but if they wreck coming down,
That'll certainly delay it.
I don't know.
A lot of times, so they're coming out of Bremen, Fairfield County, so they're coming out of the city of Bremen, and it's just easy for them to come in and across, and depending where it's at, either come in gate going up by the lodge or coming in the gate back here by us at the Enchanted Forest.
Okay.
Many times they have used that. It's from there. It's not, well, it's really close, but we all know the way our roads go. It's considerably further, but the idea of them using that gate and getting there safely instead of putting one of their units out of service would probably be there. But I think having a discussion with the Rust Creek Township trustees, I think we can come up with a solution that'll work for both of us. I know Rick's had them in the past, and we just want to keep everybody safe because no one wants anybody hurt. That's the biggest thing. And I think even the EMS, those vehicles are heavy and they go down hills really quick and you really can't stop them. I'm sure they're more than aware of that hazard of that hill when we get a run here. And the inconvenience factor is once or twice a year for a couple hours. Our road crews here, I mean, it ain't the prettiest stuff they put on our roads, but we sure do a pretty good job. For the roads we have, allow us to get around pretty good down here. They've done a great job with this. That's just a special situation. And that was a day when it was snowing and sleeting and raining and, they had it covered and then it froze over again, and that can't be avoided sometimes. Not to hurt our people. It's to keep our people safe.
Right.
If everybody can see a little inconvenience will benefit everybody in the long run.
So if you put a sign at the top of the hill that says closed, I mean, are you going to shut the gate off, or are you just going to leave it operational?
Operational, I would think.
I think you need to
because
leave it operational. It's really more of a warning sign. Road closed is really more of a, in my mind, proceed at your own risk, because there will be people that will try it. I would be willing to bet. Road closed signs have not always stopped me in my younger days. So,
I guess I would say the opposite. I would say we deactivate it, right, and then put up a barrier out there so that the barrier takes any potential damage than the gate.
What kind of barrier are you going to put for a couple hours?
Well, it may not be a couple hours, though. I think that might just be, at least in my mind, this would be something that you would probably close for, a few days, weeks, whatever it is during the weather. Like the way the stretch of weather that we just came through, it could be closed that long, right? And yeah, it's inconvenient, but one, we're maintaining the safety, and two, we're protecting our assets on that, so that we're not having to replace the gates and have maintenance out there. Oh, I got to go hurry up and get that spot done real quick. Well, they got 30 plus miles of road to do, and then just to focus in on one little area doesn't seem fair to the rest of the community, really, right? It's an overall thing. So if you kind of just shut that down and you just live with it for, whatever time period that is. To me, I mean, again, I've lived in areas where roads were closed all winter long, right? You just had to go around, and you just dealt with it. But that's my experience, right? And
the part I like about the barrier that Marty's suggesting is, one, it says to people, we're not kidding, this is dangerous. And so people learn, if that sign's up there, that they shouldn't go that way because they can't get through. Or two, people that are trying to exit from inside to go up the Bora Hill in bad weather like that, like the person that just got stuck this week, that would prevent them from opting for that exit as well, and say, we need to find a safer route to go today. And again, I'm not seeing this as being for long, long periods of time. But we have had a bad stretch of weather recently, and the road crew has done a good job trying to keep it salted. And in spite of that, we had somebody getting stuck going up and someone hit it coming down. And, so.
And I'd love to hear from other people that live over there too, though, to get their input on it, right? They're the ones that have to live through it. I don't.
Right.
I guess I wouldn't be in favor of putting a barrier out there. I think it's more work than what we need for. This is the first year in 3 years we've really had an issue. I just think having a barrier put up is overkill in my mind. I mean, yeah, we've had a stretch of 2 weeks that have been bad, but I think we're solving a problem that isn't that bad a problem, but my opinion.
Well, it got hit within the last, it's got hit a couple times since I've been a board member, and I haven't been a board member very long.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking at least 3 times.
But those situations, it was icy for maybe a couple hours and somebody just come flying down the hill. I think just a sign up at the top that says, warning, extremely icy, then we'd see how it works. But I mean,
problems coming down.
You might as well just save the money and just put it towards the new gate. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is
that's going to do.
It's probably over for this year, but so I'm not going to. Well, that's just my opinion. I hate to go out there and have maintenance every time it snows. Have to go set this barrier up and try to block people. I just think that's against what we stand for here. But that's okay. I mean, that's fine. I hear your opinion, but.
Yeah, I guess, but the other part is, all right, somebody comes in, breaks the gate. Now the gate's either inoperable or it's open.
Yeah.
So now you've got free reign coming in there, right? And
but what do you
or it's closed for quite some time because it's broken or damaged.
Exactly.
What kind of barrier are you going to put in front of it though that doesn't get hit too? I mean,
you can come up and just put out there, some sort of a guardrail barrier or something like that that'll go across it. It's obviously it would be a longer term kind of a thing, right? Because you don't want to go out there and put it out there for 2 hours and then pull it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think JJ had a good point when we were chatting about it earlier and mentioned, maybe we convert from the sliding gate like we have and move to a chop gate, one of the gate arms that go up and down, and I've done this in other places, use a breakaway, relatively inexpensive piece of either fiberglass, which is the more expensive option, or wood. It's not going to be as much of a barrier as our sliding gate is, because you could probably walk a motorcycle around it. But it would at least resolve some of this issue, because if somebody did hit it, you've got 3 or 4 as backup, and it's costing you next to nothing to replace them. A little bit of wood and a little bit of red and white paint.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think, obviously, Jim, we're not looking at this year, right? This year's pretty much over.
No, and that's why I'm not going to, I'll give you my opinion, but this is probably done for the year. But I hear the security issues. It just, erecting a permanent barrier in front of the gate just seems to me overkill, but that's, again, my opinion. But Steve and JJ, I'm sure you guys got opinions.
Well, like I was saying earlier, when we look at the RFID system, there's gates there too, so we could get different gates. The ones that we had were the drop gates, and they could get hit and swing forward or swing back depending on how they got hit. And there's different ways you can add to that gate, which really wouldn't be that costly, just for the guys taking their bikes and try to walk them underneath. Now, if you have a decent sized bike, you're not going to be able to walk it underneath. But also, with the RFID system, if the gate was hit, security is notified immediately and the cameras are there. So, you're seeing something happening right then and there. So,
I think we need to maybe open it up to Rick and let him talk with the trustees, maybe with you, Jeff, too, because, like I say, the comments that he did give me, they've had those conversations, and from what it sounded like, to put it where our property stops on that road would leave it on a hill. So they, realizing that, they thought it would be better for us to put something at the top, and not a permanent thing, but you know, the yellow crossbucks or something like that just across the road, identifying if there's a hazard there. You know, I don't think we have the authority to shut the road down, but we can warn people of that hazard. And I think the biggest hazard's coming down. It takes a brave soul to look at a solid sheet ice going straight up like that to think that they can make it up there. And
They try it, but
yeah, I get it. But hopefully they don't slide all the way back down. And they usually get off the side of the road before they hit the gate. And maybe the
I would
township.
say I know the answer is not to have security hang out there and try and keep people that are not members from coming in, because number one, this kind of weather, we had enough trouble getting those folks in to work because so many of them were stuck at home. And number two, what are we not able to respond to then if we've got somebody tied up at that gate? An EMS call, EMS escort, somebody stuck. It's definitely not the right answer, having security hang out there waiting for the road to be treated.
Yeah. I guess JJ had a great idea though, right? Why not include this in with the RFID project, right?
yeah, I would hope.
And see if we can incorporate it in that, and then we can come up with a solution that works.
Yeah, we'll talk to the trustees. I'll probably give it a little while. Right now, I'm not Rush Creek's favorite person because I think they have to pay for the gate that they broke. And it seemed to surprise them. So they'll be submitting it to insurance, from what I understand.
A good example of us having to use resources to try and collect money for those gates being injured.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think putting a barrier there is going to, unless you're going to try to actively stop people, they're going to try to come in that gate. I mean, I guess if I lived right there, I would too, but that's just me. People get used to their convenience, and then they're not going to want to say, well, you didn't shut those gates down, but you left this one, you shut this one down. So I guess that's my point.
Yeah, people hate change. I get it.
People hate change, and
I just think you got to be careful if you leave it open.
I don't want to leave it open. I'm not for that. I never was for that. So
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of leaving it open, but I also think that we can put signs and try to get people not to use it would be a better solution, but we can roll it into the RFID point too.
Well, thanks for letting me talk, guys.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us again.
So
she tried to get out of it, just so everybody knows.
I did.
So we're going to put this in part of the RFID gate project to try to improve that. And then we're going to try to talk to the trustees and see if there's any signage we could put up or what have you, and go from there.
Yeah, and as we get re-quotes on the RFIDs, we can certainly roll that one gate into it.
Gotcha.
Quick research of the good old internet. They make all kinds of those gates.
Yeah, they do.
It's a common thing of, from stainless steel to plastic to fiberglass, aluminum, whatever. The breakaway system there that could easily be reset and not destroy a gate and take it out of service.
Yep.
Wonderful discussion.
Good discussion. All right, Jeff, our revolvers.
Revolvers, okay, they have been sold. The high bid was DC Gunworks. We promised to get it out to anybody that might be interested, so did so via this agenda and the email blast. But just in case, their phone number is 740-753-7403, 740-753-7403. Again, it's DC Gunworks. We got a total of $675 for the three of them, which, considering the condition that they were in with some rust and that kind of thing, I think was a pretty good price. We did get additional prices as well, and this was far and away the best one. So anybody interested in holding a piece of Hideaway Hills history by way of a chunk of iron in your hands, call that number. He's been warned that we'll be getting some calls. So.
All right.
The office is safe again.
All right. Lifeguard training.
Right. So Anna really stepped up, and I have yet to meet her, but I'm pretty impressed so far. She has talked to, I'm not sure, I think it was through a friend, to actually conduct lifeguard training on property, holding one class, saving about $30 to $50 per lifeguard, just depending on where the lifeguards were taking the training, and hopefully creating an environment where we can recruit a little bit better, because we'll actually do the training on site instead of somebody having to run around and find out where to train if they want to be a lifeguard. So I think that with the increased wage that we're offering this year versus previous years for lifeguards, since we do expect them to save lives when the time comes, I think we'll have a lot less trouble recruiting than she mentioned we had in the past.
Is it certification or recertification? Certification or recertification?
Either or. Recertification is just a shortened version of it. So yeah, they can recert if they are already certified. Don't have a price on that, but the certification will cost us $240 a lifeguard, versus we've been reimbursing $285 to $320. I think she had said, or $325.
Okay. Yeah, we used to not reimburse that, and we weren't getting any lifeguards because nobody wanted to pay $280 to go work a $8 an hour job.
Yeah.
So we started reimbursing that, but just I think offering the training will help your recruiting for lifeguards that much better. So I'm all for this.
Okay.
Anybody opposed to this, or basically we're going to open the pool up a week early and let them use it?
Yeah.
That's essentially what it comes down to.
That's good.
I don't have any issues with that. All right, lodge updates.
Lodge updates. We had a health inspection at the lodge today, passed with flying colors. Best, according to the health inspector, best that she's seen in quite some time at our property. I will say, for all of Jeannie and Gavin's and Casey's hard work on the floors of the kitchen, first thing when she walked in the kitchen, she said, "Oh my God, you get a new floor? It looks so much brighter in here." So all that work cleaning the ground has done some good.
Liam was scrubbing the other night, so.
Oh, that's right, and Liam was helping out as well. That's right.
Yeah.
And Jesse may have even on a couple of nights. So, but Jeannie really drove that thing. So kudos to her for getting it in the condition where we could score so well on a health inspection.
Good.
We did get the vent hoods cleaned today. Those were because they hadn't been used in so long. I don't know if you could really consider them overdue or not, but it was time as we're getting ready to reopen. So those were done today, and then we'll have the fire suppression systems for the vent hoods, those Ansel systems, taken care of tomorrow. We'll be recertified tomorrow. So
good.
Okay, we've begun the recruiting process both on Facebook and on Indeed.com for front of house supervisor and kitchen manager, chef. Got 2 interviews. I'm sorry, 1 tomorrow, 2 Thursday, and 1 Friday. From all local. We did get 1 applicant from Dubai that is currently a chef there and a 4-star Michelin restaurant, but decided that probably wasn't the best route. So.
That's a long commute.
Yeah, it is.
It's longer in Texas.
And then we are, and then we're looking into a newer point of sale system. This future point of sale system, or POS system, that we have has been around quite some time. The future, it's like Back to the Future. And it isn't necessarily the fastest system in the world. So the new one we're looking at is actually cloud-based. There's a monthly fee for it. versus any upfront cost other than the purchase of some iPads, and then it would actually give the servers iPads to walk around to the tables with and do everything from order taking to being able to take payments at the tables and speed up service a bit versus running to and waiting in line for one of the couple of terminals that we have to do data entry on.
I'm just learning that system. Now you're gonna get rid of it.
On that, we don't know. We'll see. It's a system called TouchBeast. If anybody's interested, it is a good system. I've never used it. I know people that own individual restaurants that use it and love it. But we'll see. It's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. It's legwork right now.
Gotcha.
Will it work with the copier and printer?
I think that's PC based, sir, not Apple based or iOS based. So I'm not sure.
No, it doesn't.
Jeff, have you had a chance to check out the beer inventory? I know Jeannie made a comment. She thought we were on our last logger.
That is correct.
What's our status with brewing?
I've tried to reach out to Scott today, didn't have any luck. Sent him tried an email after a phone call and got the email bounce back. So I'm gonna have to try following up again with him tomorrow.
Okay. Is there any beer brewed right now, or is it pretty well?
We've got a lot of the pale ale.
We're just down to getting low on. We're getting low on lager.
Yes.
Lager.
Yeah, I think upwards of 6 kegs, or maybe even 8 kegs of the pale ale, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah, we need to get him down here before we run out.
Mm-hmm.
So, JJ,
and then the clubhouse, Chris should be back to work by the end of the month or the first week of March.
And are we still recruiting for another person there for summer?
We will start. Yeah, we haven't started there yet, but we'll begin first part of March, trying to get him in by the end of March.
Gotcha. So yeah, I was there both Friday and Saturday night. Friday night, the dining room actually did a really decent business. The bar did a decent business also. Saturday night was much slower in the dining room. The bar did pick up a little bit later on, but I think we're doing all right with minimal payroll that we are supporting. So I appreciate Steve coming up and helping out this weekend. We'll talk later about this weekend coming up.
Who draws the straws this week?
What? Who draws the straw
Who's
this week?
going to draw the short straw this week?
I don't mind working one night. 2 nights was a bit more than I want, but that's fine.
I got one Friday night.
Well, I hear a rumor that Steve's doing pulled pork sandwiches on Friday.
I guess that got nixed. That got nixed.
Oh, did it?
We're still having pulled pork, but yeah.
Okay. Based upon what was available or not from GFS?
Oh, it just got postponed. Jeannie and I had a conversation, and she was concerned about not being from an approved vendor. Well, the vendor was Kroger's, and it wasn't being sold. It was being donated by my wife and I. So there wasn't any cost involved with it, but
Sure.
It's still in the freezer, and she's gone ahead and ordered from some GPS.
Okay.
GFS.
GFS.
I do have a question, though, Jeff. I mean, so where is our plans for the lodge? You know, I see we're advertising for several positions. I can see where it seems we're getting along okay. We have a budgeted amount of expenditure for the lodge this year. What is the long-term plan? I mean, if we turn here in the next few weeks and put $70,000 worth of payroll on there, and again, this is going to be my plight to the members that enjoy coming to the lodge that we heard so much of being the favorite amenity within Hideaway Hills. We miss you. We would really like you to see and come up to the lodge, meet your old friends again for another time when you feel safe. And we're doing a great job of cleaning the tables and sanitizing stuff, and people are wearing masks, and we are doing all the right things. But, you know, my concern is us putting on more expense without revenue coming in. And nobody wants that place to be a hit more than anybody on this call or anybody down here, but we're just not seeing those numbers now. And that was kind of the plan. You know, Jeannie and I kind of talked a little bit, is trying a couple other things there and see, you know, pizzas and subs only go so far, and you don't want to have that every week. So that's kind of why she's thrown, the short impromptu Valentine dinner, and then we're going to do something different this weekend.
I think cabbage rolls, if I'm not mistaken, one of the days.
Cabbage rolls on Saturday, and then pulled pork on Fridays is the plan now. And it's just trying to get people there. We're just concerned with all of a sudden our budgeted amount for expense there is going to get blown out of the water if we don't have people sit in the seats. And right now, that's the one thing that we can't control more than the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Good point.
there.
Good point. I think you're right. I mean, number one, we're open 2 days a week. Arguably the two busiest nights, any given day or any given week, probably so. But we're open 2 nights a week. Our menu, if you're looking for gluten-free, there's soup. At this point, tough to do a gluten-free sub or the gluten-free pizza unless it's those little skinny cauliflower crusts that we have a few of. So with a limited menu, we talked at length when we were going over the gate issue about how bad the weather was this year. So that's slowing you down, and then certainly COVID. But I think, hopefully we're gonna, as we hit the perfect storm otherwise in so many places when COVID first hit, hopefully that'll reverse, and as cases are dropping, we'll still be social distancing, we'll still be sanitizing, we'll still be asking for people to wear masks as they come into the restaurant until they sit down. My hope and prayer is that as we expand the menu, that we will begin to see more and more people come. Oh, and it just happens to be the time the weather's starting to warm up, and we'll start seeing more people out there anyway.
I appreciate your
absolutely
optimism.
not. Absolutely, it's not a guaranteed thing. But the options are, and I've heard both sides of this. I'm just going to throw it out there. Do we open to outside business? Do we not open to outside business? People that think one way or the other are thinking very passionately about it. But frankly, and I guess this is to anybody listening, if we don't see the business there, we're not going to have much of a choice but to allow outside business in. So I would love nothing more than for the members, the property owners, their guests to come in and support the lodge. I promise you it'll be a good experience, but we got to get you in the door to prove it to you. And let's make it worthwhile. Let's make it worth staffing the lodge, make it worth opening more than 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so I appreciate your optimism. Without that and a new fresh set of eyes, some of us that have been around and struck these battles, and I know Jim's been head over heels in it for several years now. The optimism is going to come a little bit slower for us for the membership. But, everybody really does want it. And I guess I look at if the people don't, in maybe opening it to the outside may help. There's mixed emotions of us paying a subsidy, us paying a monthly fee and having that, and then giving that away to somebody from the outside. I think in the Blueberry Hill days, it worked very well because there was not 40 restaurants in Lancaster and 20 in Logan that other people could go to. It was a destination during that time. I don't know that the destination's there. And the head of our thing here, Jim, I'll ask you and the hot money guy here in understanding this. What do we do if we get upward in our losses in here? Do we shut this back down in September, October, December, whenever, if we go back to there? And then what's that plan when we just hire these people, they don't have jobs? I mean, I guess I'm just looking to be careful with this so we don't unemploy people after a short period of time or put us into that tailspin again.
No, I mean, I think, Steve, it's going to be a slow struggle to get people back. We have to re-earn some trust. But we budgeted a $160,000 loss or cost this year, and we have to be willing to commit to that. I mean, we committed to it in the budget, and we got to commit to it now. And then, so I think we have to be in this for the full year, and then, to give Jeff and his team a chance to get people back in there and make it a consistent go-to. What happens in 2022, I can't say. I mean, I don't want to reopen this and then turn around and have to shutter it down, but because I think it is an important amenity for our club. But I think we have to be willing to commit to, a full year of seeing how this goes, trying to get people back in there and trusting the people we've hired.
No, I'm all about it. I'm with you. I'm just, where do we throw the towel in again? And gosh, I don't want to do it.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, Marty.
I was just going to say, before we're talking about throwing the towel in, back to Steve, your question, what is the plan? Right? What are we going to do with it? What does the lodge look like for 2021?
I'm not sure I understand the question beyond what
Well,
we've talked about over the last few weeks about it.
Are we going to go out throughout the rest of the year just doing pizza and subs for 2 days
Oh,
a
no,
week?
no. What we talked about is April 15th, more or less, opening with a significantly expanded menu, a full kitchen staff, a full service staff, and treating it like a real restaurant and bar instead of just a pizza joint.
So in 2 months we can pull all that together? Actually, a month and a half?
It's been working for the last couple months. So yeah, I think so.
Asking because there's a big change. Once we get the other staff in there, right, they need time to set up their stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess if something's going on here, I guess I just haven't seen it, right?
Well, and hence the talk about closing down for 3 weeks while we let a new chef, a new kitchen person, get his or her menu in place, start training the staff that we've hired, get the service standards implemented and trained to the front of house staff, and then reopening again, más o menos, more or less, April 15th. With a kind of almost a grand reopening. Will there have been a renovation? No. But we will if anybody wants to try and convince me that it is ever really about the bricks and mortar, we will have a day-long argument about it, because I completely believe that it's about the food and the service. And
I
much
agree
less
with you.
the bricks and the mortar. So
Yeah.
if what it takes to at some point get a renovation is for us to prove ourselves for a couple years, I'm all about it. I accept the challenge. But yes, I do think we can pull all that together in the next couple of months, or 6-7 weeks, or whatever it is, assuming that we find the right chef. And the interviews start tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. So hopefully we find the right person.
Yeah, and that takes time, right? It's gonna take time to find that person, and it's gonna take time to talk to them and to work through all the details on that. And that's why I say, I mean, as long as you feel comfortable with being able to deliver on that, that's fine. And I totally agree with you. It's about the quality and about the service that you get when you go there, right? And less about what the place looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm
and I will be quite frank in that the place doesn't look all that bad. Is it a little bit outdated? Yeah, but
it's fine.
It's in good shape.
Yeah.
So
again,
a little bit of ice on the ground trying to get in, but other than that,
right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about like what we get when we get a chef and food service front house supervisor. What's the menu look like? What's the specials going to look like? What are we going to do to draw people in? What are we going to do to have different events going on to try to really get people in those seats and keep them coming back? I mean, that was what kind of eroded over the last 3 years. Was we saw people that were loyal lodge people sort of kind of fall off because they just kept getting bad food and bad service, and they kept talking about it, and then nothing happened. And so it's going to take some trust to bring that back. But I think that when right before we opened, Jeff, maybe we'll just have a special meeting and just go through like, okay, here's the menus, here's the special plan, and it doesn't have to be pinned down, but here's how some events we're going to do, and here's how we're going to approach the whole service aspect of this. So I really think our members want to support it. I really just think they need to see that we can do this right, and that's going to be the key. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter the lighting, and I mean it does. There's there's aspect to that, but the biggest thing is can you serve good food? Can you serve good portions? Can you serve it at a decent price, and have food that people want to buy?
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really that many people that are really concerned about what the place looks like, right?
I mean, it looks neat, nice. It's just,
It's fine.
it's not.
No, it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's nothing. It's not the brand new.
Right. My
hip
point was
restaurant,
that I guess I just I wasn't seeing where we the steps that we're going to be taking and seeing the action on those to move forward, right? And to go through that. And I understand that we need to hire the front of house supervisor and the chef and that to get to that point. And that's where I just want to make sure that we're not trying to put some undue time pressure on ourselves that we can't deliver on.
Yeah, and if worse comes to worse, Marty, we push it back a little bit.
Okay.
Fair enough. April 15th has been a target all along, but there's nothing that says if we needed to serve pizza and subs for another 2 weeks and then push a closure down for a week or two after that, or even continue being open on Fridays and Saturdays, and worry about the training and that kind of thing on other nights of the week. I will say the plan is for this year, we will be open 5 nights a week, dinner only. Okay, because otherwise now you're getting into expanded staffing and I've got to worry about another kitchen supervisor and that kind of thing if I'm doing more than 5 days a week, number one. Number two, dinner only, because at least in my experience in an environment like this, in a resort community like this, breakfast in a full service restaurant, and lunch, you're almost always going to lose money. Breakfast, you can't get the prices that you need to not have to have just an extreme amount of volume, and lunch, you just don't get the volume. And again, start looking at breakfast and lunch, and all of a sudden now you're having to expand the staffing that much more. So I think we're taking, is it a risk? Absolutely. I think we're managing that risk, or will manage that risk pretty effectively. And understanding that this $121,000 loss that we budgeted was with the expectation that it's going to be like opening a new restaurant. We have to build the business. We have to prove ourselves. We have to entice people to come out there. We have to make the decision at some point of we're going to allow outside business on weekdays only, maybe. I don't know. I'm not dead set one way or the other there. I just know I'm not accustomed to running money losing operations.
Gotcha. Okay. No, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Of course. Good questions, both of you.
Rex, JJ, you guys got any comments on the lodge before we wrap up?
No, it's a solid plan. You can't you've got to. You can't go caviar right off the bat, but you have to provide a good service and good food right off the bat, because if the community doesn't accept you right away, you're in trouble. So gotta get it hard.
And you have to get the horses to pull the cart.
Yep.
And that.
and not to be insensitive to employees, because I never want to have employees have to leave, but I think the restaurant business, for one business, understands if you don't perform, you're going elsewhere, and I think they know that, and so that's a job where they're expected to perform, and they know it, and so that's, Jeff, I might be wrong, that's your business, but I've just seen it from the outside.
Nope, that's pretty accurate.
Yep.
All right. Any other discussion on the lodge? All right. Any other topics we need to bring up tonight to discuss?
Oh, good.
All right, then. I guess we're done for the night. Everyone have a good night. Stop recording now.
Good and good.